Hey everyone, welcome back to Sports Talk. We're breaking down Week 7 of the area football season. Crazy that it's Week 7 here. We're just in the beginning of October.
I don't like it.
just flying by.
Like fast.
The regular season will be over before we get to Halloween.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think we might even be into the playoffs by Halloween. I can't remember.
That's crazy. It's too fast.
Yep.
Yeah, it still feels like yesterday that I was covering my first game this year.
Yeah.
Let's start it here though. Williamsport head into Shamokin this week. After coming off that game against Jersey Shore, obviously they don't get any easy favors in the schedule here. Odds are going to be in for a tough one against Shamokin.
Yeah, Shamokin's rolling. From an encouraging standpoint, Sealands Grove gave Shamokin a battle last week. It was 23-13, and offensively, Shamokin was held to 16 points because Chase number 2 pencil led the. That's one of my favorite nicknames this year. He took the opening kickoff back 97 yards for a touchdown. So, maybe and it at least makes them seem less invincible than they had been the previous week when they put 76 on Central Mountain.
Yeah.
But they're a handful. They're so good up front. They've got speed everywhere. It's going to be a tough one for Williamsport, but. They going against Jersey Shore, I think at least helps. You've seen a team similar to Shamokin, so it shows them what they've got to work on now going forward. So I think they should be excited going into the game. Just they're second in District 2-4. Hazleton's number 1 right now, and they already beat Hazleton once. So they know if they keep getting better, if they keep progressing, whatever happens in this game, if they keep the big picture in mind. I think they should understand that they got a chance to do something pretty big this year.
Yeah, I mean, they were very impressive against Sealands Grove, and even with these really tough tests they have going, it's only gonna. As Michael Pearson said, these matchups are only gonna make them better.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like in the short and long run. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me, folks. Jersey Shore heading to Hollidaysburg. Jersey Shore is Jersey Shore. They're a great team, but I feel like this could be a bit of a test for them on the road.
Oh yeah, this will be a good one. Hollidaysburg's also 5-1. They lost their first game last week. They won 3 or 4 straight district titles. Usually they run into, I think it's Erie Central or Erie Cathedral, one of the powerhouses out there in states, but perennially a strong team. Kind of similar to Jersey Shore with their quarterback has had a pretty big season. So this will definitely be another one of these tests in what has been a season full of tests for Jersey Shore, and I think it'll be one of the area's more exciting games this weekend.
Yeah, they don't take it easy on themselves when it comes to scheduling. That's one thing for sure. I think this matchup is very interesting. Not just for it being on the road, but Hollidaysburg is going to be playing mad, looking to bounce back from their loss to Fort Hill. I think is what.
For Maryland. I think.
I think one of the best teams in Maryland, at least in 5A.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know what Maryland has.
Yeah, but they have 3 guys that are above 200 receiving yards. I'm not gonna get their names right, but I want to say I had them written down.
It's all right.
But so they can spread the wealth very well.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's going to be a good one. Central Mountain at Montoursville. Central Mountain speaking of schedules, their schedule's just brutal. They had Shamokin already this year. They had Williamsport already this year. And then they have Montoursville, Mount Carmel, Troy, Shore. So just brutal.
Yeah, it gets harder and harder each week.
For Central Mountain, you kind of, they have a lot of young kids on the roster. I just think they kind of have to look at it as, this is what it takes to play against really good teams. So we have to take this, take the positives from this and use this as experience to build towards the future.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Jersey Shore in 2012. Tom Gravish's first year. They went 0-10, but you could tell they had a really nice young foundation there. Just they took some lumps against some really good teams that year. And, I think Central Mountain has a good young core there. Like Cole Corman's a sophomore at linebacker. He set the program record for tackles in a game with 21 the other night against Shikellamy. So there's good pieces there. Yeah, they just gotta keep battling, and it's not it's gonna take a major upset to get a win this year, but I think they can continue if they can continue getting better at practice every day and in these games. I think they're going to see a payoff in the future.
I mean, yeah, it's a huge test of their like these kids' their mental strength. Which I mean, I think they'll they'll end up coming out of this a lot stronger and a lot more poised for ahead of like next season.
Loyalsock heading the Warrior Run. Massey, you'll be at that one. I think that's going to be a really good game there.
Yeah, I had it as our game of the week, and I think it's going to live up to the billing. I think they're really evenly matched. You can't. I know it's full. You can't just say because this team did that against this team. This is how it'll play out. But they've had similar results against Lewisburg. They both had fourth quarter comebacks to beat Bloomsburg. So I'm fascinated to see how it plays out. I think last year they met in the district semis and Sock won convincingly, but Sock lost a lot from that team. Warrior Run returned a lot from that team. So we'll see how it goes, but I'd be surprised if this isn't really close. And Warrior Run hasn't beaten Loyalsock since 2005. And I was at that game. It was 28-21, I think. Justin Browse had 16 catches for Warrior Run. It was my kind of game. There was a lot of passing.
What year was that?
2005. Now they haven't played every year since then. They've had stretches where they haven't played for a while, but I'm sure Warrior Run is kind of itching to get that win against Loyalsock. And conversely, I'm sure Sock sees that Warrior Run's ahead of them in the District 4 playoff standings, and they're going to be motivated too. So I think it's going to be a fun battle.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Warrior Run handles Dylan Harmon after. They had their issues against Jeremiah Davis a few weeks ago, and then I'm also interested to see if Eli Butler can build off his 300-yard performance against North Penn Mansfield.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'll be something. North Penn Mansfield's at Muncie this week. I feel like if you're Mansfield, you just kind of have to hope you can kind of contain the two-headed monster that is Johnson and Walmer.
Yeah, that's going to be easier said than done. Like Henry alluded to, Eli Butler just ran for 301 yards against North Penn, and Butler's a big, strong, tough runner. He's, and that's what Austin Johnson is too. And then you got Landon Walmer too, and it's going to be tough to contain those guys, but I think North Penn's got they've got some firepower. I think that they can hang in there for a while. Luke Kreger's having a ridiculously good season right now.
Yeah.
He's gone over 250 yards receiving 2 of the last 3 games. He's got the number 3 and number 4 receiving yardage marks in this area in the 2000s, and that's within 3 weeks, so that's pretty amazing. And Cooper Shaw has over 1,000 yards passing, over 400 rushing. So I think it's a game Muncie's heavily favored in, but I think it also could be, if you like offense like I do, it could be really fun.
Yeah, I mean, Muncie's proven time and time again that they don't underestimate anybody. They bring 100% every time, but I don't know how tested their secondary is. So if North Penn can establish some a decent pass game and they could keep things interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Bloomsburg at Hughesville. I think Bloomsburg, obviously their secondary, you're gonna have to try to account for Blake Davis and try to hope that you can limit their passing attack this week.
Yeah, and conversely, I think Hughesville's going to have to do the same against Bloom because Wyatt Brocious has over 1,000 yards this year. So this is another game. I think this will be one of the better games too. I think these teams are really evenly matched, and they've kind of had a nice little rivalry the last couple of years. They played twice in 2022 and split those games. Hughesville won a thriller last year. Lyco's Aiden Barlett had a great game in that one. So I think this is going to be another entertaining, close game, and it'll be big for both of them. Both of them want to get into the District 4 AA playoffs, so whoever wins this can really strengthen their case for that. And Hughesville, if they could win would stay in the hunt for a home playoff game on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hughesville just has to have a short memory when it comes to the Mount Carmel loss, just to kind of build off the positives they were able to, take away from that. And I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be very close. Bloomsburg, they're 2-4, but that record doesn't speak for them. They've been very impressive the past 4 weeks.
Yeah. Montgomery heading the Northwest. For Montgomery, just want to try to shake off that old shoe thumping and kind of get back to the winning side of things here.
Yeah, and Montgomery's got a ton to play for. I mean, yeah, it stinks to lose to your rival like that, but A, they could possibly see him down the road again, and B, they haven't had a winning season since 2001, so they got a chance here down the stretch to do something that hasn't been done since they weren't born yet.
Yeah.
And they have a really good shot at that. This is a game I think they should bounce back in impressive fashion and win this. And I think going all their last 4 games, I would, with the exception, even against South, I would label them as a slight favorite in that one. I think they've got a chance to really build some momentum for the playoffs here down the stretch. So, last week was a setback, but I think they could be poised for a big comeback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, kind of as he mentioned, I think they have a really good shot at building up some momentum heading into that, which should be a pretty even matchup against South.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm honestly really looking forward to seeing what the outcome is there.
Yeah.
They're even.
Yeah. Going to move on here, Master, to some quick hitters. Lewisburg at Midwest. Obviously, we mention every week about how Midwest kind of is struggling. So I think Jeremiah Davis could be in for an easy field day to get another 100-yard rushing game.
Yeah, ironically, Midwest is the last team that held Davis under 100 yards, but that was because the game got away from him. So he had 7 for 74 last year, so it was, he averaged over 10 yards a carry. That would be the only thing that I think would stop him from extending that streak, is them just blowing it open so quick, so early. But yeah, they can pretty much name their score for that one.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of just interested to see how many points they're able to score there.
Yeah.
And and how few carries it takes for Davis to make it 11 straight.
Yeah.
He's only 40. I think he needs 43 for 1,000 too for a second straight year. So pretty confident he'll get that.
Yeah. CMVT at Kawaneski.
That'll be an interesting battle. The last 2 years they've played have been really close, and they split those games, so that'll be a fun one. Braxton Brown for CMVT has over 1,300 yards rushing, so CV is going to have their hands full trying to stop him. But based on what they did against South, I think that'll be a really competitive game.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they can, build off a strong performance there and, earn their second win of the year.
Troy at Wellsboro. Troy's obviously on another level. That's just a tough one for Wellsboro on the schedule.
Yeah, it's not going to go well for Wellsboro, but I do like the way they've developed the last couple of weeks. They had the win against CV, and then played Athens really tough last week. We're down 21-0 and got it down to 21-13. So they were improving. Maybe they will keep improving in this game. The score won't reflect it, but I like where they're going down the stretch after they get past this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely unfortunate after they've been able to build up some momentum the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, they just have to have a short memory and take the positives they can get out of it.
Exactly. Milton at Central Columbia.
That's one I went back and forth on who I should pick. I would pick Milton if they were healthy, but they've been so torn apart by injuries the last couple of weeks that it's kind of hard to get a read on them. The Mifflinburg game was kind of deceiving. Their defense, they lost 42-8, but their defense only gave up 3 scores. It was 3 special teams touchdowns, 2 block punts, and a kickoff return. So if they can clean that up, this is definitely a game where they could get back on the winning side, build some momentum for a stretch run.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good chance for them to, establish some momentum after, they've dropped 4 of the last 5. This, along with I want to say they have Midwest next Friday. And then, they can build up some momentum before the difficulty skyrockets. I think they have 2 really tough matchups to close things out. I'm struggling to remember who.
I know they have Warrior Run in week 10.
Yeah, and maybe it might be Danville.
Might be Mount Carmel.
Mount. Yeah,
I think it's Mount Carmel in week 9. So
yeah,
one of those teams. Yeah.
South Williamsport hosting Sayre.
I think South probably rolls in this one, but Sayre beat Northwest 21-12 on Friday, so they got some momentum going for them. And Sayre led CV at the half, and we saw CV give South a battle. So it might be closer than I think, but I think South will have too much for them with the running game and up front. But Sayre has an exciting playmaker in Nick Pelicano. And he's got 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns, and Carter Green's a good quarterback, so won't be easy. But I think South's definitely the favorite here.
Yeah, it's a good chance for them to make it 3 in a row and continue building momentum with that young core.
Mm-hmm. And then last one here for the quick hitters. Why losing at Canton?
That's like Milton. Canton's just been ravaged by injuries lately, so it's. Last week they had to move a wide receiver and a running back to offensive line in the second half at Tawana. That's how decimated they are right now because they don't have the depth and the numbers that they had those 2 years that they made it to the Final Four. Even some of those years where they got to the district final. If they're healthy, I think this is a toss-up. But based on the injuries, I think Wyalusing is just it. You don't want to have injuries up front when you're playing Wyalusing because they're just going to run. They're just going to run, and they played Troy pretty tough for a half last week. So it's going to be. If Canton's healthy, I think they have a shot. If not, I think Wyalusing runs for a lot of yards and wins.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate considering they were pretty decently successful through those first few weeks. I know they had a rough loss against Athens that. They probably could have come a few plays go differently. They probably win there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think it could be a winnable game for them. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard to win based off of what Chris is saying about the offensive line.
Yeah. Quick college recaps here. Lake Cummings on a bye week, but they cruised past Hilbert. How much do you think Lyco needed that win?
It was a huge win. I mean, it's definitely a game that they were expecting to win, but a huge momentum boost heading into the bye week. You get some more assurance at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
With Will Fish. He posted his best completion percentage of his career, and then Jay Huber proved he can be competitive within the room, and then just defensively after giving up 112 points against Cortland and Utica. I mean having a shutout there is a huge confidence boost.
Yeah. Anything to add, Massey?
No.
they also they did spread the wealth very well. Nine Warriors had a reception. You mentioned Aiden Barlett earlier as a freshman. He 3 receptions, 34 yards and a touchdown. Brendan Clark had career highs. The running backs got involved. It was just there were a lot of positives to take away from that.
Yep.
I will say that I saw Ross Iyer had a couple of catches too.
Yeah.
So that's a nice little area.
Yeah, exactly.
All-star trio there. That's having all 3 are making impacts for there, and there's a lot of other local players doing well there too.
Yeah. With guys like Billy Kapak set to graduate. I mean there's definitely a promising future for those guys, and I think they'll. I think they could be really impactful in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Lock Haven beat Millersville 24-23. Gutsy win there by Lock Haven, which I think they need that because, they're at Shepherd this week, who's 3-1, and then they got Kutztown 2 weeks after that, who's 4-0. So that was big for them to go to 2-2 and not enter that tough stretch there at 1-3.
Yeah, and that's the kind of game Lockhaven probably would have never won in the past. Down in the fourth quarter like that. So I think that's another sign about how they've turned things around these last 2 years. And it's so hard to change the culture when you've been losing for so long.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're doing a nice job of that. And I think that game drives it home.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a bit surprising that they went into the half down by 2 scores, considering Millersville was 0-3. But I mean, it kind of just shows, it's maybe Millersville's getting it together as well. I mean, just huge bounce back performance for them after back-to-back losses.
Yeah, exactly. And then Bucknell, they're on a bye as well this week. But the huge win last week in overtime against Lehigh, who was that game 3-1. Win that one 38-35. Bucknell's one of those teams, man, that every week in the picks they cost me because I can never get a good read on. Yeah. But that's a good win for them to beat a 3-1 Lehigh team on the road too.
Yeah, that's a really good win. And I think I'm 1-4 when it comes to picking with Bucknell this year, and this was another loss. So I can't figure them out. But that was a really good win. They had some good wins last year, and it seems like they're climbing that ladder. They got better last year, and it looks like they're kind of poised to take that next step forward and become one of the better teams in the Patriot League.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in agreement there. They're 3-2 now, 2 straight wins, and I mean they've bounced back very, very well after losing to Marist. So
yeah.
Yep.
All right, well that'll do it then for Sports Talk this week. We'll be back next week with recapping Week 7 and looking into Week 8.
If you saw, I was sneaking peeks at my phone a lot here in the segment I'm watching. I was following the Orioles playoff game, so if that's why, people. and please, God, if you're watching, please let the Orioles get to the World Series. I haven't seen it in 40 years. I was 7 years old. I just want them to get there. I don't care if they win it. Just let them get there for once. Please. Thank you.
We'll see you next week.